Next up, we're going to work on the game's end screen that is going to be quite similar to our main screen, but we'll see how we can reuse our buttons that way. So let's create a new scene, and we're going to make it a user interface scene called end screen. Let's save that to our screens folder as our end screen. So our end screen is going to have some title, it's going to have some message about the score, and two buttons like we saw with the main screen. So let's create that right now. We're going to start by placing the background. So one thing we can do here is grab that texture rectangle, that background, from our main screen scene. Back to the end screen, right-click on the node and select the Merge from Scene option. You want to select your main screen scene, so go to screen, mainscreen.tscn, and you want to select the branch of the tree that you are going to integrate. So we want to get the texture rect here, press OK. You can use that to get entire subtrees of nodes as is copied to your new scene. We could also save our background as a scene to reuse it, but I wanted to show you that other functionality. We're going to do the same, merge from scene, go get the main screen, to merge our menu here, because we're going to have a very similar menu in the end to restart the game from scratch or quit it. Let's click OK, and you'll see that because we are not using our UI theme yet, the text is really small. So select the end screen node, expand the theme category, and we're going to drag and drop our UI theme.tres into the theme slot. Now for the play button, we want to change the next scene. We don't want it to restart from level 1, we want to restart from the main screen. So let's open our main screen scene in here to get the full path to it. So when you'll click play from the end screen, it will go back to the title screen. And so we can change the text on the play button to play again. The quit button can stay the same, so we can reuse our UI component as is, and all we are left with is the text. For the text, we're going to first search for our title scene, the title component that we stored, and drag and drop it onto our scene here. Click to select it, and we're going to change it to a message, end screen message, so congratulations, you finished the game. Then we want to reset with the title selected its layout too. We're going to align it with center top, click, shift, and drag to move it down. And under the title, select the end screen node, press Ctrl A to add a label. We will write the score in that label. So it appears in the top left. We're going to use layout, center top, set it to your final score is, we'll put the score there, you died X times. Now we're going to expand that property, so you can click the expand icon in the inspector to have a large text field to edit your text. And we're going to use some placeholders for the text that we can replace later via code. You can use the modulo sign followed by S to say replace that by a string later when we use the format function in GDScript. So we're just going to have these placeholders for now, and later via code we'll be able to insert a numeric value here. Your final score will be, let's say, 1000, and you died 3 times. We'll keep track of that a bit later. But for now, we're going to have it that way. So layout, I'm going to center top again to reset that. You could align the text centered horizontally, like so, and shift, click, and drag to place it under the title. So again, because these two nodes are attached to the top of our UI, it means that when we're going to resize it, Because these two text nodes are attached to the top of the UI here, it means that when we resize the UI, they are going to stay at the same offset from the top. You might want to attach them to the center instead so you don't get that collapse between the buttons and the labels. I'm going to select the menu, label, title. We're going to center them on screen and then manually offset the title and the label, place them above the buttons. Finally, you can select the menu, label, and title together, W to use the move tool, and shift click and drag to center them visually on the screen. And once you've done that, they will be relative to the center of the parent container. You shouldn't be worried about the text getting too large, for example, in some cases, because when you are creating games, you're optimizing them for either portrait, if you're going to make a mobile game, or landscape mode. The ratio of the supported screens will go from something around like that for the very wide screens to something a little smaller, 4/3, for example. These are the main ratios you should want to support, in which case the text is always fine. It's always going to fit in the center of the UI. And as you might have gotten by now, this is in part why we have all these layout options. This is so on different displays that have different ratios or sizes, you will have the UI elements centered or aligned and resized relative to some anchor points.